Ladies and gentlemen, I want to speak to those of you who feel lost, adrift in a sea of tasks, expectations, and unanswered questions. You wake up and go through the motions. You chase something, but you're not sure what it is anymore. The world tells you to find your passion, to do what you love. But what if you don't know what that is? What if all you feel is tired? Let me offer you a different lens through which to see this thing we call work. For too long, we've been conditioned to see work as a burden, a grind, a necessity to make ends meet. We view it as the price we pay to live a good life, instead of the forge where character is built, vision is tested, and power is born. You see, the man who approaches his work only with his hands is a laborer. The man who approaches it with his hands on his head is a craftsman. But the one who puts into his work his hands, his head, and his heart, that man is an artist of destiny. And you don't need a canvas to be one. You need only to decide that no matter the task, you will give it the dignity of your full presence. The feeling of being lost does not come from lack of direction. It comes from lack of connection to something greater, to purpose, to vision. When work becomes nothing more than a paycheck, it strips your days of meaning. But when you tie your work, no matter how humble, to a mission greater than yourself, something extraordinary happens. Even the smallest task becomes sacred. You do not need to wait for clarity before you act. Clarity is not something you find. It is something you create through movement, through decision, through action. Do not wait to feel ready. That moment is a mirage. Start where you are, with what you have, and the path will begin to shape itself under your feet. Understand this. The greatest wealth is not measured in currency, but in your ability to wake each day with a reason to rise and a fire to move forward. Every moment you choose to bring excellence to what you do, whether anyone sees it or not, you are casting bricks into the foundation of your future. So if you feel lost, do not run, do not quit, do not search for escape. Stand still and listen. Somewhere within the silence of your doubt lies a whisper, the voice of the life you were meant to live. It will not scream. It will not chase you. It waits for you to become quiet enough, brave enough to hear it. And when you do, even the most ordinary work will become infused with extraordinary meaning, because you will no longer be working for money, for praise, or even for purpose. You will be working from a place of power. And nothing, my friends, can stop a man or woman who has found that place within themselves. When a person finds themselves staring into the void of confusion, wondering what it all means, the temptation is to escape. They think maybe a new job will fix it. Maybe if I travel, maybe if I move, maybe if I switch careers. But the truth is, if the confusion is inside you, it will follow you wherever you go. You can change the scenery. You can change the people, but you cannot outrun yourself. And the self, when disconnected from meaningful labor, begins to rust like a blade left in the rain. And not a curse. It is not the punishment of mankind. It is the gateway to greatness, the workshop of your evolution. What many fail to realize is that work itself is neutral. It is neither friend or foe. It becomes what you make of it. You can treat it as drudgery and it will become a prison. Or you can treat it as preparation, as transformation, and it will become your proving ground. The tragedy is that so many people pass through life never realizing that every hour spent doing something well is Most people are in such a rush to harvest the fruit that they never stop to consider the power of the seed itself. And so they move from job to job, task to task, looking for the one that it feels right, the one that gives them the feeling they believe they've been promised. But let me tell you, fulfillment does not come from the job. It comes from how you show up to that job. A man sweeping the streets with intention, excellence, and pride is far richer in soul than the man in the corner office who dreads every day and dies a little more each hour. You have been given talents, perhaps raw, perhaps untapped, but real nonetheless. And work is the fire through which those talents are refined. Gold is not discovered, polished and gleaming. It is pulled from the earth, dirty and hidden, and only under intense heat does its brilliance emerge. If you run from the fire, you run from your own refinement. People often say they want to find their purpose. They say they want to do work that matters. But purpose is not a lucky ticket handed to a chosen few. Purpose is something that emerges through commitment, through discipline, through getting up day after day and doing the thing, even when no one is watching, even when there is no applause, especially then. And you do not need to know the full picture to begin. You do not need to see 10 steps ahead. You only need to see the next step clearly and take it with full conviction. One well-lived day builds a week of momentum. 1 week of momentum builds a month of transformation. And soon, what once felt meaningless becomes the very place where you found yourself. Greatness is never accidental. It is born of intention. And work, especially hard work, is the anvil on which intention is hammered into form. The man who disciplines himself to master his craft, even when the world pays no attention, is the man who cannot be stopped. Because his reward is not just in results, it is in who he becomes. Ask yourself, who are you becoming through your work? Not what are you achieving, not what are you earning, but who are you becoming? Because life does not reward those who dabble. Life rewards those who commit, those who stay in the ring even when they feel lost, those who keep walking even when they cannot see the destination, those who show up for themselves even when no one else shows up for them. The moment you decide to treat every piece of your work as a sacred act, as training for the person you are destined to become, you shift the entire axis of your existence. And in doing so, you eliminate the feeling of being lost. Well, because now you are not waiting for life to show you the map. You are building the path with every single step. It doesn't matter if your work today seems small. There is no such thing as small work, only small attention. Do what you do with the full force of your presence and watch how it transforms. A simple conversation can shift a life. A single email can lead to an empire. A day of quiet consistency can unlock a year of explosive growth. But you will never know unless you begin. If you are in a job you do not love, do not waste your energy resenting it. Use it, study it, ask what it is trying to teach you. Is it building your patience? Is it developing your resilience? Is it training you in systems you will one day lead? It's a wasted season unless you refuse to learn from it. When you begin to work with this mindset, something else happens. Opportunity starts to see you. People start to notice. Not always with praise, not always with money, but with new doors, new paths, because the world responds not to neediness or desperation, but to value. When you become a person of value, when you pour excellence into everything you do, you no longer chase opportunities. You attract them. Too many people wait for motivation before they act. But motivation is a fair weather friend. Discipline, consistency, devotion, these are the allies of transformation. If you only work when you feel good, your growth will be shallow. But when you choose to work through the discomfort, through the fog, through the fear, that is when you build depth. That is when you become unshakable. The greatest leaders, creators, and thinkers all understood one truth. Work is sacred, not because of what it earns, but because of what it awakens. They struggled, they discovered their strength. Through repetition, they found their rhythm. Through fatigue, they forged faith. Not in luck, not in fate, but in their own ability to rise. And so the question is not whether your work matters. It does if you choose to let it. The question is not whether you will find your path. You will, if you choose to walk with intention. The question is not whether you are lost. The better question is, are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening to the quiet wisdom inside you, the one that says, keep going, you're closer than you think? Because you are closer than you think, not because all the answers are laid out before you, but because within you lies the power to make meaning from whatever stands in front of you. The real turning point in a person's life doesn't come when they land the perfect job or finally discover a hidden passion. It comes the moment they decide to stop waiting for something to change and begin changing how they show up to the life they already have. You can spend your days chasing what looks right from the outside. Titles, applause, convenience, but none of those things will ever quiet the unrest that comes from living beneath your potential. That tension you feel when you look at your work and think, there has to be more that is not a curse. That is the call. That is the reminder that something inside you is not willing to settle for mediocrity. It wants to stretch to test itself to find out what it is truly capable of. You don't need permission to begin. No one is going to come hand you a letter and say, today is the day you start becoming the person you're meant to be. That decision will always be yours and yours alone. The moment you take responsibility, not just for the results of your work, but for the spirit with which you do it, that is when everything starts to shift. Responsibility is not a burden. It is power. It means you no longer wait for circumstances to align. You align yourself with your values, your principles, and your mission, whatever that looks like in this season of life. Whether you are building a company or stocking shelves, designing skyscrapers or delivering packages, writing books or writing code, the work itself becomes transformative only when you decide to make it so. And this transformation is not about perfection. It is not about always knowing what you're doing or loving every moment. It's about the intention behind it. It's about the decision to use your work as a mirror, as a forge, as a way to develop qualities that no external success can give you. Discipline, patience, courage, focus. These are the invisible victories that no resume will ever capture, but they are the foundation of every meaningful life. Most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they abandon their path too early. They plant a seed and dig it up every week to see if it's growing. They change direction at the first sign of boredom, the first twinge of discomfort. But the fruits you seek, clarity, confidence, momentum, these come only to those who stay long enough to earn them. It's not exciting to hear that consistency beats brilliance. It's not glamorous to know that showing up day after day, even when you feel unseen, is how you build something that lasts. But it is the truth. And once you understand that, you stop waiting for magic. You become the magic. You stop chasing a life that looks good and start crafting a life that feels right. Moment by moment, brick by brick, you also begin to realize something else, something radical. Your work is not just about you. It never was. There is someone somewhere who will be impacted by your commitment. Maybe they'll read the thing you wrote. Maybe they'll be encouraged by your attitude. Maybe your standard of excellence will lift theirs. You may never meet them, and they may never thank you. But that does not lessen the weight of your influence. You don't need to be famous to make a difference. You need to be faithful. You need to show up not because it's easy, not because it's always fun, but because somewhere deep down, you know that a life of meaning is built through service, through giving more than you take, through becoming so strong within yourself that you can hold space for others to rise. To rise. The beautiful part is you don't need to wait until you make it to start doing that. You can start right now. You can pour integrity into the smallest act. You can turn your phone off and give full attention to the task in front of you. You can treat the mundane moments as sacred, knowing that how you do anything is how you do everything. You can elevate your standards not because someone is watching, but because you are watching. You are the one who must live with yourself when the day is done. There's a power in taking your work seriously, even if others don't. When you choose to hold yourself to a higher standard, you begin to separate from the crowd. You stop blending into the noise and start becoming a signal. And the world notices. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But value is never truly ignored. It's often delayed. There will be days when the effort seems invisible, when your progress feels like it's happening in slow motion. When doubt creeps in and tries to convince you that none of this matters, that's when you have to dig deeper, not for external proof, but for inner conviction. Because what you're building is not just a career, it's not just a reputation, it's a self. It's a soul fortified by purpose, by endurance, by the quiet power of doing the work no one sees. Do not fear obscurity. Do not run from the seasons of silence. Those are the seasons where the roots go deep, where your foundation is laid, where the habits are formed that will carry you when the spotlight finally comes. It is better to be prepared and unseen than seen and unprepared. When the time does come, when the doors open and the opportunities arrive, you will walk through them not as someone desperate for recognition, but as someone who knows their worth, who knows what it costs to become this steady, this grounded, this excellent, this obstinate. You'll look back and see that the detours weren't detours at all. They were training. Every late night, every unnoticed effort, every moment when you chose integrity over convenience, it all mattered. It all counted. It was all leading here. So if you feel lost today, good. It means you are awake. It means your soul is paying attention. Let that discomfort guide you, not into despair, but into decision. Decide to honor your work. Decide to treat your current season as holy ground. Decide to become someone worthy of the life you desire, not someday, not when it all makes sense, but now. Because this is not just about finding the right path. This is about becoming the person who can walk it. The person you are becoming is shaped not in the grand moments of recognition, but in the quiet, unseen decisions you make each day. The choice to get up early when you don't feel like it. The decision to go the extra inch when no one's keeping score. The small victories of discipline, the silent triumphs of pushing through resistance. These are the moments that define your future. They form the architecture of a life built not on luck, but on intention. You don't have to wait for your circumstances to improve before you raise your standard. Too many people wait for the right environment to start acting like the version of themselves they admire. But excellence is a habit, not a response. It must be chosen long before it feels convenient. You have to bring the future version of yourself into the present moment through action, through attitude, through the way you approach your craft. There is a fire that is only lit by walking through the dull, unglamorous repetition of the work. There is a strength that only comes from doing it again and again until it becomes who you are. This isn't about pretending. This is about becoming. You become a leader when you start thinking like one. You become an artist when you start creating, not waiting. You become resilient not by reading about it, but by getting knocked down and deciding you'll rise anyway. No mentor, no book, no secret formula can replace what is forged through your own effort. The personal clarity you seek, the confidence you crave, that's on the other side of the days you want to quit but don't. You can read about purpose all day, but purpose only reveals itself to those who are moving. Motion is the secret, not perfect motion, just forward motion and just forward motion. You don't need to have it all figured out. You only need to choose the next right thing and do it well. It's a step when you walk with intention. There is no wasted effort when your goal is growth. You could be in a job that doesn't excite you, a space that feels limiting. But if you approach each task with excellence, you are already shifting your trajectory. Because the mindset that you're developing, the one that shows up fully, that learns even in boredom, that sharpens itself even when nothing seems to be at stake, that mindset becomes your foundation. And with the right foundation, you can build anything. It's easy to romanticize purpose, to think it will arrive like lightning, fully formed and unmistakable, but more often, purpose is born from patience. It grows in the soil of perseverance. It emerges after you've put your hands to the task 1,000 times. It shows itself slowly, like light through fog, and when it comes, it does not feel like thunder. It feels like peace. It feels like, if this is what I was made for, but you don't find that by sitting still. You find out by walking through the fog long enough that the path becomes clear beneath your feet. The moment it does, all those years that felt uncertain will make sense. All the wasted time will reveal itself as preparation. You will see that every skill you picked up, every challenge you endured, every job you thought was beneath you, all of it was building you, equipping you for what was always meant to be yours. You must stop waiting for permission to begin. No one knows what you are capable of until you show them. And before you show them, you have to show yourself. You have to prove in private that you are serious. You have to become the kind of person who keeps promises to yourself. Because once you do that, you become unstoppable, not because the world suddenly changes, but because you do. You no longer need outside motivation to move. You become the kind of person who moves because it's who you are. There is no greater freedom than knowing you are living with integrity, that your actions match your values, that you are not just working for a paycheck or for recognition, but from a deep sense of alignment. When your work flows from that place, everything changes. You may still face setbacks. You may still doubt yourself. But deep down, you'll know you are on the path. That knowing will keep you going when the road gets dark. Every great journey begins with a simple truth. Where you are right now is not where you have to stay. Circumstances can shift. Doors can open. New ideas can come to life. But it starts with you deciding that your current place, no matter how uninspiring, is fertile ground. You have to till the soil, water the seed. Trust the process. You have to believe that the sweat you pour into today is not lost. It is stored. Stored in your character, stored in your future, stored in the kind of person you are becoming. The people we admire, those who inspire us with their clarity, their strength, their sense of mission, they were not born with it. They built it. They made decisions when it was inconvenient. They practiced discipline when no one clapped. They failed, they stumbled, they started again. What separates them is not talent, it's tenacity. And that tenacity is available to you too. You have to decide if you want to be someone who waits or someone who shapes it. Someone who waits to be told what matters, or someone who defines that meaning for themselves. Your work is not just about the task, it's about your identity. Every day you do the work, you are casting a vote for the kind of person you wish to be. Do it distracted, and you vote for mediocrity. Do it with care, and you vote for mastery. Mastery is not reserved for the elite. It is available to anyone willing to repeat the basics, to honor the process, to respect the craft. It is a way of being. It is what happens when you combine humility with hunger, focus with patience, vision with execution, and it doesn't arrive suddenly. It sneaks up on you. One day you'll look back and realize that the person you were longing to become, you've already become them. Not in some loud moment of arrival, but quietly, in the way you chose to show up again and again, even when it would have been easier not to. If you feel lost, if you feel uncertain, good. It means you are awake enough to know there is more for you. The next step is not to overthink or wait for the perfect plan. The next step is simply this: commit, not to the outcome, but to the process. Commit to bringing your best to what is in front of you, no matter how small. Commit to growing, not because you lack worth, but because you recognize your potential. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are becoming. And every late night, every unnoticed effort, every quiet decision to not quit is adding up to something bigger than you can see right now. Keep going. The work is worth it, and so are you. Every time you keep going when quitting would be easier, you are building more than momentum. You are building evidence. Evidence that you are capable of following through. Evidence that your word to yourself means something. And that evidence becomes the cornerstone of self-trust, the very foundation of confidence. Confidence doesn't arrive as a gift wrapped in validation or praise. It's built in silence, with no witnesses, in the moments when you follow through simply because you said you would. There will be days when progress is invisible. Days when your effort feels pointless, when your actions seem to go unnoticed, unrewarded, unappreciated. That's when most people give up. But that's also the moment when the brave separate themselves from the average. The brave understand that invisibility is not insignificance. Just because it's not visible doesn't mean it isn't working. Just because it's slow doesn't mean it's failing. Some of the most profound transformations take place beneath the surface where no one can see. Here's the truth that most people never learn. The deeper you build, the higher you rise. The skyscraper stands tall because its foundation is hidden, wide, and strong. So if it feels like you're digging deep right now, if it feels like all you're doing is laying groundwork with no results in sight, and that's exactly where you need to be. Stop waiting for your environment. That validation may never come. Sometimes the people around you won't understand why you're trying so hard. They'll tell you to slow down, to be realistic, to fit in. Not because they want to sabotage you, but because they've never seen what it looks like to live with purpose. And they've accepted a good enough as the final destination. But you don't have to, and you shouldn't, because the moment you settle for less than your potential is the moment you start to shrink in spirit, even if everything on the outside looks fine. Your job, your current role, your daily responsibilities, they are not the ceiling, they are the starting block. How you do your work now sets the tone for what you'll be entrusted with later. The universe does not promote people based on potential alone. It responds to preparation. And preparation happens when you act like where you are matters, when you treat your current station as sacred, even if it's not what you want forever. Waiting for perfect conditions is a form of resistance. You don't need more time, more clarity, more talent to begin. You need more courage, the courage to act without full understanding, the courage to move without complete certainty. Most people waste years waiting for something to happen to them when the truth is, things happen because of them. They wait to feel inspired, not realizing that action is the root of inspiration, not the other way around. You can't think your way into purpose. You live your way into it. One decision, one discipline, one deliberate choice at a time. Purpose is not a lightning strike. It is a slow ignition. And sometimes the only way to light that fire is to keep striking the match again and again, even when it doesn't catch at first. Especially then, there is honor in effort. There is dignity in discipline. There is sacred power in showing up for your work. Not because you love it, but because you've decided that how you show up for anything is how you show up for everything. When you carry that mentality, you become different. You walk different. People start to notice, not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. Your presence starts to carry weight, not through force, but through depth. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to dominate a room to change a room. You simply need to be rooted in something real. And there is nothing more real than the quiet conviction of someone who knows why they wake up in the morning, even if that why is still evolving. It's okay if your vision isn't fully formed. It's okay if your passion still feels distant. You don't need to have a polished answer to what do you want to do with your life. What matters is that you are willing to try, to test, to refine. Life is not a straight line. It is a dance between clarity and curiosity. Some of your most important breakthroughs will come not from knowing where you're going, but from being brave enough to go at all. If you stumble, if you make mistakes, if you take a path that doesn't work out, that's not failure. That's feedback. That's refinement. That's life teaching you through experience what no book or mentor or podcast ever could. There is wisdom in the wrong turn, growth in the detour. So do not be ashamed of the winding road. Be proud that you're walking it all. Most people don't lack time. They lack intention. They spend hours numbing themselves from the very life they say they want to escape. But numbing is not rest. It's not peace. It's avoidance. And avoidance will never build the life you crave. Attention will. Awareness will. Intention will. If you can train your mind to focus, to be present, to bring full energy to what you're doing, you will win, not by luck, but by presence. So take the meeting seriously. Clean your workspace with care. Send the email with pride. Treat your routine like ritual. Because what you do today echoes into tomorrow. It multiplies, it compounds, and eventually what was once invisible becomes undeniable. Here's the beauty of it all. Even if the rewards never come in the way you imagined, you still win. Because you become the kind of person who lives with integrity, who honors their commitments, who creates meaning rather than waits for it to arrive. That kind of person is rare, and rare is valuable. So when the doubt creeps in, when the boredom hits, when the results lag, remember that you are not here just to achieve. You are here to build something much more resilient. You are here to grow, to serve, to refine yourself into the kind of person who can handle the opportunities that will one day arrive. You are not lost. You are learning. You are not stuck. You are stretching. You are not behind. You are building. What you're building is not just a life that looks good, feels deeply right, a life rooted in effort, in awareness, and purpose. And that, more than any title, trophy, or paycheck, is the real reward. Keep showing up, keep doing the work, keep becoming. It's all adding up, even when you can't see it yet, especially then. So let this be the moment you stop waiting for the perfect job, the perfect timing, the perfect plan. And start becoming. Decide today that your work, whatever it may be right now, is not a burden, but a stage for discipline, a stage for growth, unload. A stage for transformation. You are not defined by your title or your paycheck. You are defined by how you show up, especially when no one is watching. The world doesn't need more people chasing passion. It needs more people bringing passion to what they already have. That's how you build purpose. That's how you build a life. So if you feel lost, don't retreat. Lean in. Get to work, not just on your job, but on yourself. Because when you change the way you see your work will change the way you see your life. And that shift, that quiet decision to honor where you are while building where you're going will change everything.